Welcome. You're watching Thirsty Thursday. I'm Dave Depew.
My name is Vaki Nikotopoulos. I'll be your bartender today.
And I'm Itai.
And what do you do, Itai? Enjoy the drinks,
I
right?
just enjoy the drinks. I'm just
Eternal
here,
patron.
I'm just here to try drinking.
Exactly.
I've never drinking before.
No, never drank before? This is the first time, huh?
The first time.
Well, it is actually, and that's something that I maybe mentioned that before. I'm not new to drinking, but I am new to pretty much all of these drinks. So I've had a very limited, if you will, a very narrow experience with alcohol. I've kind of kept to certain things, and 47 now. So I thought, let's try some different things. I'm not an excessive drinker by any means, but hey, once a week, try some different stuff out just for the experience of it. Nice conversation with some awesome people, and that's what you get here. That's what this show's all about. And of course, it takes place in my gym. Why not? Because this is my cave. This is where my tribe and I hang out. We're at Grinder Gym here in San Diego, and that's about it. What are we talking about today? What are we drinking?
So today we will be drinking two kinds of scotch.
Okay.
And then a scotch cocktail.
Okay.
That is kind of an old man drink called the Rusty Nail.
Not the Rusty Nail.
It's a classic cocktail, but
this.
it's kind of an old man thing.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm an old man.
perfect
so
for you, Dave.
It's perfect for me. I did shave off some of the gray. So maybe does that help me look any?
I guess we can't
any
have it with
younger.
the Rusty
or,
Nail,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
We're gonna have to have
no
the
more
very,
men
the
around.
very clean
I did pick
nail.
up the Scotch Whisky that you mentioned, the Monkey Shoulder. All right. So
Very nice. So today
I'll
we're
hand
going to
that
be
over to my bartender.
we're going to be trying two kinds of whiskey, or two kinds of scotch specifically. One is a blended, a really unreasonably smooth blended scotch, which is this Monkey Shoulder. And then a very, very, very standard, well-known, really widespread, widely used, strong flavored single malt whiskey, which is this Lefroy 10.
Okay.
And this is, I would say, this is basically like the first level of nice whiskey.
Okay.
Or nice scotch specifically.
Okay, I've got to ask a question because I don't know
Go for it,
the
yeah.
answer to this. But what is the malt? And we're looking at like.
I was gonna ask this.
Were you okay?
Yeah,
Good.
that's a
So
good
I'm
question.
not alone there. So like single malt. Is there a double malt, a triple malt, a multi malt? Like what's the
Is there
what's
a
the malt
half?
thing? A half malt?
Yeah, so, okay, in general, whiskey is a spirit that is distilled from some kind of grain.
Okay.
So we have the standard grains that are used are wheat, barley, rye, corn, and then maybe some other things. But for scotches specifically, it'll be mostly wheat, barley, rye.
Okay.
And the malt refers to whether malted wheat, malted barley, or malted rye will be used in producing it. And then the single, I think, this I forget a little bit. The single is like, I believe it refers to the single kind of grain. Like this grain is used, and it's this single malted,
I see what you're
malted
saying.
wheat.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
is there
Yeah.
a single?
Oh, that's
scotch
what- yeah.
That's not.
This
actually
is-
malted.
Yeah, there are non-malted scotches, like
Yeah, okay.
meaning like you can make scotches without malting the grain.
What is malting? Do you know what malting is?
I actually don't know what the process
Yeah, I
is.
have no idea what malting is. I
All
imagine
right, if you
malting-
know what malting is, leave it in the comments because
Imagine
we're
malting is
curious.
some kind of
Not that I won't
cooking,
Google it,
right?
but
Because if you're turning like a grain into like malt is like part of sugar. I'm just guessing that it's some kind of cooking of the grain.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, at the very least, it's definitely like a processing of the grain. I don't know what kind. I don't know what goes into it.
yeah, makes sense. All right. So, what do you have planned for us today?
So we're just gonna. Oh, this is a little fun thing too. So we're gonna be tasting initially in these glasses, which are called Glencairn Glasses, and they're specifically for whiskey tasting. I recently got these as a wedding gift, so be nice and careful with them.
Ah,
Oh, that was a good sound.
That was nice. Okay, so I'm going to pour us each basically just half a shot. And Dave, I'm going to give you very specific instructions for tasting so that you don't just pound it all back.
Yep.
So what you're going to do is you're first going to sniff it and see if you can identify any smells that you're familiar with. Then you're going to take a very small sip just to kind of open your palate up to what it has to offer. And then you're going to take one more slightly larger sip, but not the rest, and you're going to swish it around in your mouth a little bit and see if you can identify any of the flavors going on.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. And then Itai, this one, I picked this particular Scotch because I know you're not generally a whiskey fan, and this one's pretty smooth for a Scotch.
First step.
Cheers.
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 First step to smell, right? I do like the smell of that. And a sip.
Oh, I hate whiskey. It's terrible.
I get some honey and some vanilla for sure. Focus on those notes. Those should be your favorite ones.
Those would be if it didn't taste like whiskey.
LOL. So
Oh my God, I hate
the
whiskey.
last part, I'm glad you guys haven't finished yours. The way whiskey is usually tasted, particularly Scotch, is it's usually tasted with a few drops of water in it to open up the flavor. Would you mind filling this with water?
To add water to whiskey.
Yeah. And it actually helps to bring out its natural flavor. So what are your initial impressions, Dave?
Like familiar. I mean, it just reminds me of Crown Royal.
Yeah, it makes it. It's got the. You're familiar with whiskey, basically, and you recognize it as whiskey.
Yeah. I like it.
For sure.
Yeah.
The
Crown Royal was always my choice of drink.
Sweet, thank you. I remember, yeah, you told us that you would always bring Crown Royal and no one else would drink it, so you would get it all to yourself.
Well, I might have voted for Frozen Roll.
All right, now we're gonna.
I might need more whiskey.
I can certainly do that. Yeah, I'll bring you up a little bit. Oh, also, here's a fun fact. Have you guys ever seen whiskey with different spellings? Like-
Yeah. Like
So-
SW with the E or without the E.
Exactly, yeah. So there are two ways to spell
Maybe
whiskey.
without the H? No.
No,
Always
no,
the
no, no,
H.
no. Always with the H. So there's WHISKEY and WHISKY. The E is added for American whiskey and Irish whiskey, and the E is not added for Scotch, so whiskey from Scotland.
I thought the E was for exercise.
Well, that's why we got it in America. With all our obesity problem. All right, so now that we've opened up the flavor, let's give it another taste. See if Itai can handle it now.
So it is significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
But saying handle it, I feel like it means that like.
No.
can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's not good.
You're silly. All right, so now what I'm going to do is do a few more drops in each glass, and you're just going to swirl it around to rinse the glass. Swirl it around and drink it.
No, I'm not done.
Take your time. It's all good.
So what's the whiskey taste? Like where does it come from? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, one thing. One thing I neglected to mention is, at least for Scotch specifically, and for a lot of whiskeys, the rule for Scotch is that, there's several rules, but one of them is that you have to age it in oak barrels for at least 3 years. So, a non-trivial amount of that whiskey taste is from the aging in the oak barrel.
That's why it like tastes.
Then
like
there's
a
like,
tree.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right. Then there's like, so the particular blend of grains that you put in, like rye versus barley versus wheat versus corn, I think that's called the mash bill. It's like the particular blend. And that also influences the flavor. But aging, what you age it in, blah, 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 all these will affect the flavor too.
But like what I'm saying is like whiskey has such a signature whiskey taste.
So I'm betting it's the oak, actually.
Betting it's the oak.
I'm
I
like,
can believe it's
because
the
like
oak.
a lot of whiskey is aged in oak also.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Actually, one of the rules for bourbon, I think, is that you need to age it in new oak barrels or something.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
All right, so now we're gonna try a radically, wildly different Scotch. This one has a lot stronger a flavor, a lot stronger an earthy flavor.
So Itai's really gonna love this.
Yeah, he's gonna love it. He is absolutely gonna love it.
Me, I just eat dirt.
Yeah, so this one actually so the term for this flavor is peaty, but it really just tastes very, very earthy. So we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna sniff a little bit, sip a little bit, swish a little bit, and then add a couple drops of water and repeat. And then try to keep in mind, you're going to decide which one of these you like better, and that is the one I will use to make your rusty nail after.
Yo, this is so much more smoky.
Oh yeah.
This is like a million times
Absurdly
more
so.
smoky.
Like it just
Oh,
punches,
yeah.
you, it punches you in the face.
Got a punch, yeah. That's what exactly what I was thinking. It's like,
It's got a charred quality.
You ever have your mom burn like a tomato soup?
Yeah, this is what.
This is what it tastes like.
Yeah, this is like.
like burnt tomato soup.
Yeah, when you burn a soup specifically, you can't really taste anything
like the
other
black
than
stuff on the
burning
bottom of
it.
the pot is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
no, but like it just goes throughout the soup. That like even if a little bit of it just tastes like burnt. You can't taste anything else. And tomato soup burns a lot because it's so full and chunky.
All right, now for the water.
Do you ever feel like you can taste what was burnt? Like what the thing?
Like in food?
No, in this.
Or-
Like right now, like there's like some kind of like it doesn't taste like burnt tomatoes, for instance.
Well, it tastes like burnt peat, burnt clay is what it tastes
burnt
like.
clay.
That's peat is it's not exactly clay, but peat is like a kind of really not fossilized, like really old congealed vegetation that is found in this Isla region of Scotland. Oh, by the way, so Scotland has a bunch of regions where they make a bunch of different regions that they make Scotch, and they all kind of have characteristics, different flavor characteristics. The Isla region, to my understanding, to my memory at least, is known for like the peatiness, this earthy, smoky thing, because of the kind of soil they have.
So is Scotch a Scottish thing?
Yeah,
It is.
actually, by law, it is a Scottish thing. You can't call something Scotch unless it was made in Scotland to a specific set of rules that include, but are not limited to, like what's the deal? It's got to. Oh, I mentioned earlier, it's got to be aged in oak barrels for at least 3 years, and those oak barrels have to be aged in Scotland. And the oak barrels are not allowed to be above a certain size. That's to keep the kind of keep the quality uniform. And then
So if it's like
Yeah.
if it is somehow made by the same similar process, but then isn't made in Scotland, like what would you call it?
yeah, it's then it just becomes, for example, Japanese whiskey or Canadian whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
You just can't say Scotch whiskey.
Yeah, they can't. You can't use the word
Scotch.
Scotch. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
got it.
exactly right.
Yeah. You ever go to like a furniture store and like the smell of a furniture store? That's what I was trying to identify. Is this taste like a furniture store?
Totally.
smell?
Yeah, that's a really
Is
great
it-
flavor note.
Is
Is
Actually.
it the varnish that you smell, or what is it?
No, it's just like
No, it's the upholstery itself. Like I think I know,
Upholstery
like new. You know that new upholstered smell. I think that's what I definitely relate. I can
I
I
smell it.
kind of know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't went to like a furniture store since I was a kid. They have such like a it's like heavy in the air, you know.
No, for sure. That's a so there is a so there's like there's a new furniture smell and there's an old furniture smell, and actually in wine tasting specifically, there is a term for the old furniture smell, and it's called grandmother's purse. So I get that people will sniff their wine and taste the wine and say, I get hints of grandmother's purse. That's like what
So would this be grandmother's purse or would this be new stuff?
this would probably be like that new car smell or something. There probably is. I should clarify. There probably is a wine tasting term for the new furniture smell, but this one I don't know. There's like just a huge world of terms for notes in wine, and similarly for whiskey. Like there's a huge, like culture of whiskey tasting in Scotland. For example.
What is the distinction between the two that we just had? Like, what's what makes those different?
I think the most basic thing that is different is that this is a blend and this is a single malt. It's
Okay.
just single.
Yeah.
But like, do you know, like, so it's a single malt, but do we know if it's made from rice, from corn, from?
I would
does
guess
it
this
say?
one is malted wheat.
Malted wheat?
But
Let's see. Let me look at
blah
what this
blah
one
blah
is.
blah 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 blah.
I'm sure that's to some people's preference. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a very successful brand. I'm liking the monkey shoulder personally a lot
Sweet.
better.
I figured it's
Yeah.
much more. I guess you could call it friendly. Like it's a friendlier flavor. This one is like very kind of punching you in the face with the dirt or whatever.
So this one is in fact barley.
In the making for malted barley. This one is also barley.
That's barley.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
They're
There
both
was like
barley then.
I couldn't
Well, this
remember the
one has
history.
barley.
Like one of the grains was used first, and then they started allowing another one, or something like that. So I actually think barley is probably the original one, not wheat. Even though I was saying wheat.
That's cool. Yeah, so this malted barley. They have a little joke here about the name. That the people who made it got like an injury in their shoulder a lot, and they call it monkey shoulder, and that's where the name comes from.
All right, that's fun.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. That's great.
It has a cool
Yeah, it's on the little side there.
monkey.
Yeah, they've got a little
on it.
monkey
Looks
decoration.
like it's sitting like how it would sit on somebody's shoulder.
Before I make you guys a cocktail, so actually you said you like the monkey shoulder better. I'm gonna make yours with monkey shoulder. Which one?
They both taste terrible.
He's
you
like, it
had
doesn't
to-
matter.
If I had to choose,
to.
I would do the second one just because I don't know. I could identify more of the flavors there.
Fun. Okay, yeah,
the
that's
furniture
good. That
store
makes a lot of
flavor
sense.
was a thing.
Okay, this is
And
called.
I identify more as a monkey, so I'm
So
gonna
it's
go with
perfect.
the monkey shoulder.
I personally am a monkey as well, and I had a rusty nail with the Lefroy the other day. So I'm gonna have mine with monkey shoulder today, so I can compare them while they're fresh in my mind.
You don't need a tetanus shot
Yeah.
for the rusty nail.
True.
There's no.
I mean, it depends how you make it, right? I don't know.
So there are only two ingredients in the rusty nail. That's Scotch and Drambuie. Drambuie is a very interesting ingredient, so I think it's probably worth
Yeah,
tasting
let's
just
try
by
it.
itself.
So down.
So it's a honey, Scotch, and herb spice liqueur that is made in Scotland. And apparently the honey they use is like really special. It's called heather honey, and the bees are only able to collect it in like a very, very short period of time every year, and they like have to take their bees up to a freaking mountain or something to collect
And
it.
what I learned from last week, right, with that, if it's a liqueur, it actually is alcohol as well, right?
Yeah. So liqueurs have alcohol, but the key is that they have sugars and other additives in them. That's
See,
what
I
makes
didn't know that. I never knew that.
The funny liquor
Now I
and
know.
liqueur are different, and the difference is basically sugar.
Yeah.
If you got sugar.
yeah, but you
added.
can smell the honey in this. This is
Oh, it's super
heavily
strong,
honey.
super sweet honey.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
It's like syrupy.
Yeah, very, very sweet.
Have you ever had screwball?
Yeah,
It's like screwball.
that's hilarious. Yeah, I could get down for that. Itai, can you get the ice blocks that are in there?
For sure.
So this one is with ice.
Yeah, this will be stirred over ice. So remember how I told you last week that you're supposed to shake if you have citrus or an egg white or dairy. If you have anything that's what's called spirit forward, basically just alcohol and not much else, you always stir it.
Gotcha.
And I brought little, big old ice cubes for us.
Yeah, big blocks, huh? Will that even go in those cups?
Yeah, they're. I made sure to get them, like this size. I made sure they would fit in my cups.
Oh, okay. But they're not going to fit into the glasses.
No.
It's just to get them cold.
No, we're gonna drink them in here. Yeah. Actually, so there's a few ways. Like when you're building a stirred drink, you can either build it in the glass and stir it in the glass, or you can stir it in what's called a cocktail stirring glass and then pour it in. I prefer with the cocktail stirring glass, but I have not gotten one yet. I'm gonna get one soon, actually, though.
Well, that was, if you didn't know, but that was him telling me that I need to get him one soon.
That's
is that
the
what that
wedding
was?
gift he's gonna get me.
Subtle.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting
Okay,
him, and that
alright.
was him being like very subtle about it.
All right, I have a. I was debating whether or not to actually ask you or just to act of my own accord, but I'm going to ask you. So you don't like the Scotch flavor, but you also don't like sweet drinks. The traditional recipe.
Screwed today.
Yeah, totally screwed today. So the traditional recipe for a rusty nail is equal parts Drambuie and Scotch, and that makes a pretty fucking sweet drink. However, it makes the Scotch taste less aggressive. Would you like the traditional recipe? Or would you like the modern? It's a really fucking hard. I'm gonna make ours first, and you
Make yours first. Can I taste like a sip of yours?
Oh, that's a genius. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, wait, this we don't need anymore.
That was the water, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, all Scotch.
Yeah. Bartender's just having a few extra.
Yeah, I gotta test it, right?
Yeah. One for you, two for me.
Okay, and you said you like the monkey shoulder, right?
Yes, please.
All right, so we're gonna make this with the monkey shoulder. Half of that for you. Half of that for me. So I'm making ours in the 2-to-1 ratio. 2 parts Scotch, 1 part Drambuie, which is more, I guess you could call a more modern recipe for the rusty nail, because as I said, the traditional is 1-to-1. And we're both getting monkey shoulder because I want to compare, because I had one with Lefroy the other day. Also, you're about to see, but I'm going to stir the drinks with a chopstick. Pro tip, if you don't have a cocktail stirring spoon, it's a little difficult to stir with a regular spoon. You can either use like the sharp edge of a butter knife to stir, or you can just use a chopstick, which is what I'm going to do. So, what are some things to look for? What you're supposed to do for stirring is you're kind of supposed to look at the side of the glass to see when it starts to condense a little bit. That means you've gotten the drink cold and you've started to dilute the ice a little bit.
Yeah, you want that ice to melt just a little bit so you get a little bit of water in there.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because people like to list the ingredients of a cocktail, but no one ever includes water, even though that is actually a significant ingredient in basically every cocktail that is served cold, because appropriate dilution is part of what makes good cocktails good.
For sure. What do you thought on whiskey stones then? Because they're like the opposite.
So don't use whiskey stones unless you add a little bit of water with it. So I actually like a constant amount of dilution if I'm sipping whiskey. So what I will do is I will either start with a single little cube of ice in my sipping whiskey, and then once it's fully dissolved, I'll throw in the whiskey stones to keep it cold but keep the dilution the same. Or I will just actually drop in some water to the level I want, then add the whiskey stones to cool it a little bit.
I feel. So yeah, whiskey stones are just little rocks that you put in the fridge or in the freezer that you put in your glasses to keep things cold. I had a friend in college who was a guy who would wear like a fedora and try to claim it was cool, and he was all about whiskey stones.
Actually, shit, I like to. That's funny. To sip, I like the Lefroy better, but for this drink, I think the monkey shoulder actually clashes less.
Flashes less.
Yeah. So the flavor you've got the honey flavor versus the earth flavor,
Not for
and I
this.
think those clash a little bit. You want this? Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Does that mean you want it with the monkey shoulder, or you want
No,
me?
I can get it with a Lefroy. It doesn't matter.
All right, cool. I'll make it with
It's
it.
just with enough water and enough other stuff, the whiskey.
It softens softens sufficiently.
You don't need the excess.
This is a
sugar.
great way. Oh yeah, this is a great way for Itai to drink scotch is with a rusty nail.
The rusty nail.
Scotch is so expensive. Do I really need an extra way to drink scotch?
Okay, this scotch is reasonably expensive. This one is cheaper though. That's okay.
Is it I don't know. I feel like scotch in general is the most expensive of liquors.
Fuck no. That's only because there's a preponderance of really nice scotch. That's why it's in your head as more expensive. Like how much was this, Dave? You remember?
$40 maybe.
Yeah.
30 bucks.
You tend to find it. I tend to find this for $30 to $40, which you can find. I mean, plenty of liquors are that level of expensive. That gin was probably $40.
The gin was like $59, I think.
Okay, even more, yeah. So that's nice gin. I mean, this is we're building a legit cabinet for Mr. Dave here.
I'm gonna have to get like an ice maker or something and some glasses soon.
That would be freaking awesome. Yeah, the ice particularly. That would be. I have lots of glassware and it takes up a lot of space, so it's not necessarily worth getting a bunch of different glasses. Like if you know somebody who has them already. But the ice is a real pain in the ass. That would be probably a really good next.
Yeah, I guess
addition.
the big thing is you want a set of glasses. Just one reasonable for anything set of glasses. And then, do you have a freezer? Do you have a thing that can keep things frozen?
Not currently, but we can get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be them.
Yeah, and a full ice maker feels like a lot of extra because you can make basically anything in a freezer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I meant by ice maker. That's a term that came to my
For
mind.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So your whiskey.
My wife's usually the
scotched
ice
up one?
maker. I haven't made ice in a long time. I know that sounds terrible, but I mean, she does. She pretty much makes the ice every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, in my relationship, because of my cocktail obsession, I'm the one making ice.
Yeah.
I make ice all the time. Actually, in my dream kitchen, in my future house, one day, I will have a really nice ice maker.
Yeah.
Because damn, is it a pain to use those ice trays that you have to crack out all the time.
Yeah, really nice ice makers are weird because you can get ones that make completely clear ice, and apparently you have to grow the ice. You can't just make it all at once because that's how air bubbles come out.
Yeah,
you
that's
have to
that's
make
exactly
it
right.
in layers, which is cool because
Interesting.
yeah, if you ever see the ice sculptures, that's how they do it.
So I got one here if you need
Oh, sweet, nice. Bartender's prepared.
it. I see that. You are prepared.
All right, Itai, you said you've been busy this week. What have you been busy with?
I have to read effectively 400 pages.
Oh man, are you learning something new? Looking at a hard paper? What's the deal?
It's just a lot of there's so much stuff in the world that I'm currently looking at that I want to learn. It's a lot of review, right? It's a lot of things I already know.
Yeah,
But I
whatever.
want to just make sure I know it all.
Nail
so
it
I
in
can-
real hard.
Yeah, because I have an idea for a thing, which involves using this technology, but I don't want my idea to just be
Reinventing
silly
the
and
wheel
dumb.
or
Yeah.
trivial. Yeah. So is the right buzzword still? Is it quantum computing or topological field theory? Or something else?
Both.
Okay. amazing.
Modular tensor categories is the current correct buzzword. Modular tensor
these are the-
categories are very relevant for quantum computing and quantum field theory, or topological quantum field theory.
This is the type of nonsense that we talk in our jobs.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
love deep diving into quantum dynamics.
Well,
Dang.
meet Itai.
Yeah, I do that.
He does do that.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure I will have lots of questions for you now that I know that.
Yeah, you can go.
Well, I mean, Vaki knows about quantum.
I
stuff
do
too.
quantum stuff too, but
I don't know.
Oh,
Do
wait,
you
this
do?
is
Would you
yours.
call what you do quantum? E?
So you do things that are more directly quantum than I do.
Yeah.
Mine have a lot of quantum motivations, you could say, but I'm not directly working in the
That's true,
quantum
that's fair.
situation. I think
Yeah.
that's probably the key difference.
like the infinite dimensional functional analysis stuff are things that were mentioned to me to learn, and I'm always like, if I need to know this, I'll just ask Vaki.
Dude, true. I have, oh god, I've essentially become an encyclopedia for some of this stuff because because of the particular thing that I've been working on.
I actually thought I went to a conference once, and there was a lot of functional analysis questions, and I was like, I could probably give Vaki a question that would be useful for this. I just forgot about it.
That's fun. I like it.
What else do we want to talk about in regard to this? Anything else we want to touch base on?
Yeah, let's see.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the fact that this is so much better than straight whiskey.
Oh,
That
actually,
you like
wait,
it better
wait.
with
Let's
the-
hear your evaluations of the Rusty Nail. Actually, that's a good point. We didn't discuss the cocktail itself. Tell me about it.
I like the Rusty Nail. Maybe because it's cold. I mean, maybe
for sure,
that's
yeah.
probably the main reason. I like the feel of a cold drink as opposed to a warm drink. It doesn't matter to me particularly whether it's straight or whether it's has some dilution to it or whatever. The sweetness is nice. It's almost
sure.
a little too sweet.
Yeah.
The syrupy
That
might be a little.
Dragouille is real
Yeah, it might be a
strong.
little bit too much for my palate. But I mean, with anything, I mean, you can acquire a taste to it, over
Well,
time.
actually, I'm glad you said that because when you go to a bar, and again, we're working on building your knowledge enough so that you impress
Sure.
bartenders when you go. So
Yeah.
when you go to a bar and maybe we'll be generous to you. In 10 years, when you're really an old man
Right.
and you're going to a bar, you can say, "Can I have a Rusty Nail? 3-1. I like them strong." That's what you got to say.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm gonna talk like that. And you're like, I want a Rusty Nail, three
At
to
some
one.
point between now and 10 years from now, you have to smoke a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get
No, no,
really
everyone,
raspy.
everyone knows. The second you turn 55, your voice goes from this to this.
You get very
You're
raspy.
between 54 and 55, everyone's just smoking a shit ton of cigarettes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, there
That's
you
what
go.
happens.
Awesome.
So I
Oh,
gotta
and then
say-
I knew you would. So I knew you would like this drink because, like, even though you don't like sweet, you do like the kind of oh god, I don't even know. Like you like honey flavors,
Yeah, I love
and
honey.
you like the herbs and spices, and this
Yeah.
shit is like botanical also.
Yeah,
so-
I mean it's very good. You're able to drink the whiskey and taste like the furniture store without like feeling like you're eating a piece of wood.
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
problem. If you're drinking
Does this?
whiskey,
I mean, to you, does this have a very honey taste to it? Like, can you taste the honey?
so you can taste the honey a little bit, but really the best part, and the reason I actually like this is because I like the feeling of the furniture store feel, right? The whole like a little bit of
like he's not afraid. He's not afraid of the bitter dryness or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not
I
afraid.
would say he's not afraid of furniture stores. Hey,
Right.
I like frequenting
afraid of
furniture
furniture.
stores. I go there often just for the smell. It's really nice.
Yeah, there's a carpet store right
there.
I can walk inside, just smell the carpet.
After every workout, we go, we take a sniff, we
Just take a
leave.
sniff.
Yeah.
We just walk and take a sniff. He sees us, he like yells at us, we run away.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
But no, it's good because I can actually taste it without it being like assaulted by it, which is what I feel like whenever I take whiskey straight.
Yeah.
Is that I'm just assaulted by that whiskey flavor.
Yep. Nobody wants to be assaulted by their whiskey flavor.
No, yeah. Well, actually, those Scottish people, they love it.
They love
Yeah.
it.
Oh man, I gotta tell you,
I'm
I think a lot of
1/16
people-
Scottish.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That's why you said
1/16.
it was a little
That's
too
why
sweet.
I'm like,
yeah.
You
it's
know,
that 1/16.
I gotta say, I think a lot of people in like the higher end of like jobs, they like really, I don't know, a lot of
Higher end of job? You mean like fancier
yeah,
jobs?
The fancier,
okay,
the
okay.
lawyers,
Fancier
the
jobs.
doctors, these guys, they like sit around and they'll drink the driest, most like wooden whiskeys in the world,
They don't know what the fuck. Yeah.
and they'll just be like, "Isn't this amazing?" And it'll just be like poison. It'll be drinking poison.
So that's the uppityness of your alcohol tolerance?
Yeah,
The
because
more,
it's like the game they
more
play against each other.
sodisticated you are, the more.
The nastier you,
Nastier
you
drink
like.
gets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It just gets
Yeah.
so much woody.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe
dude, I mean-
maybe you'd have like for you'd expose those people maybe to something else, and they'll be like,
Well, no, I mean
I'm
the
gonna
actual.
change.
The
I'm gonna
actual
change
way,
jobs so that I can drink something sweeter.
The actual way you do it is you put 5 in front of them,
Yeah.
like that go from reasonable taste to nasty,
Right,
and you
right.
see like what they pick out as the good one,
Yeah,
and they'll
right.
usually pick out the thing that they actually like instead of the like super ridiculous
Yeah.
expensive thing. Actually, one thing that I will say. Now, it could be that I have not achieved a high enough level of hoity-toity job to
might.
be able to discern the difference, but I actually have. So I had a really rich friend in college, And he bought a ridiculously nice Scotch that was like, I don't know, it was like $1,500 a bottle or something. And I tried it. And I think that the excessive aging in some of these does not actually, it gives you strongly diminishing returns on the flavor. I was like, this is good, but for the love of God, I could get a $150 bottle, 1/10 the price, that is amazing, number one. Number two, way better than a $50, so it's a justified price jump, but also maybe approximately the same quality as this $1,500 bottle. So I don't know. It's
Well, we'll
kinda
have to
funny
see.
how it
We'll have
happens.
to do some research and see if there's any correlation to this. The alcohol you drink and your placement in society. If somehow that like changes or alters your position and
I went on a
in
first
the
date with
workplace.
a lawyer,
Yeah.
right? And her favorite two drinks were bourbon and scotch. And those are both not only whiskey, but
They're both whiskeys that taste like nearly the same if you're
Oh,
on the higher end.
I 1,000,000,000% disagree with that.
Okay.
I knew he was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
say he
that
disagrees.
is that is silly. But the same thing about there's crazy expensive bourbon out there, and there's ones that people like to brag about having or having tried or whatever in the U.S. That's like in the kind of rich New York life. Like you hear people say, "Oh, I had Pappy 31" or whatever the fuck. It's a really expensive bourbon, and I have also tried not the super high level, but the pretty damn high level of bourbon, and I very much find the same phenomenon. Like it's just not worth the obscene price. It's worth it to go up like a couple of levels from your standard like $40 bottle or something, but it is absolutely not worth going up 10 levels.
For sure. But the thing is, like, these people will all drink together and they will literally only drink, like, whiskey of some kind. And, like, so this, I think, is a very good way to learn how to drink, because you're drinking all sorts of things, right? But the fact that, like, all of the fancy, like, people in fancy professions just kind of only drink the most whiskiest of whiskeys is, like...
Yeah, and they don't even, like, I don't know, they haven't even gone through a process of, like, selecting it as the thing they like. That's the annoying part. Like, they like
that's
it
a good
because
point.
of the status symbol, not because of the flavor. And I think
That's
that's
the
the
point.
distillation
Yeah.
of what he's saying, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for another great Thirsty Thursday.
You betcha.
I enjoyed this. I thought this was a great drink. I could see pouring probably straight, to be honest, only because I'm simple that
Well,
way.
I mean, that
it's
Monkey
like it's
Shoulder's
not
easy
complicated.
drinking,
It
too,
is.
so
It's easy to drink. It's not complicated, and
Yeah.
but I could see myself ordering the Rusty Nail.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
like buying the Drambuie, like maybe you don't need Drambuie sitting around for billions of years, but
Sure.
certainly if you want to order that at a restaurant,
Sure.
it's a great thing.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you again, bartender.
Absolutely, stay
Really appreciate
thirsty,
it.
everyone.
Stay thirsty.
Stay
That
We're
might
just
be a
gonna
trademark. We
steal-
we
that's
we
a-
gotta
You know?
we gotta double check that.
That
So
already is below.
yeah, we didn't say that.
Remain
whatever.
thirsty there. Fuck you.
Remain thirsty. Remain thirsty.